Hello, Mr. Wellman. This is Alex Tran, and today I'm going to be doing the Chapter 4 Exercise 5 YouTube homework. And what the problem is asking me to do is to make a spiral pattern which each side is getting longer. And the second variation right here is where the spiral is slightly turning. In the bottom left, I already have my code figured out. But basically, this is how it works out, and I basically do the basic steps. I import turtle. I defined my side of the spiral, which is t comma n, and I do t comma n because the repeated side of the spiral here is always increasing, and as you can see, the arrow or like this or the turtle is on the outside, not the inside. So it doesn't end on the inside, it ends on the outside. So what I had to do was I had to add to the side of the spiral instead of subtracting. And when I set this up, what it gave me was basically kind of what you would expect, the first spiral. And just to give like a small test run of it, what I chose to do was, I'm just going to do a small one, so I'm going to just do 4 as a test run. And for this, it basically I have to put all my other stuff in here too. I have to make this not relevant. Basically, it sets up my small spiral there. Basically, it sets up the start of the spiral. What I messed up here is that instead of adding, I thought it started in the middle, so what I did was I -2 repeatedly. So what happened was that my thing just infinitely got kind of weird. What happened with that was when you set it up to 100, it goes the other way. That's not intended. As this keeps going on, you can see that it's working backwards, but you see the middle of the spiral isn't correct. It should have started going to the right. So that's why basically it starts and it should go to the right immediately or go to the left 270 degrees. But I chose going to the left because it was, going to the right because it was easier. And while this is repeatedly going, it doesn't end at the same side either, and that's where I found out my mistake. And that's where I needed to do +2 instead. With the +2, it should look like the spiral. And going on, this is where I messed up. And the only thing I really thought about was how each side needed to get longer, and how I did that was I just did kind of just a sub function where it was I did n equals n plus 2, or it was kind of basically a counter to keep adding on to n so that each side could be bigger than the next one. And what I thought about for the next function for the spiral here that's repeatedly turning was that I made it so that the function would be spinning, but I didn't know how. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Originally, I didn't have it turning right negatively. I just had it going towards A. And what happens when you have it come towards A is that you basically, hold up, let me do this first so that this doesn't take up the time. What basically this does, it basically makes a spiral form in a different direction. As you see, the spiral starting to form towards the right. And in this indicated photo, it wants the spiral forming towards the left. And what really does change about this is it's only the really angles, how it says the two spirals in this picture differ only by the turning of draw both. How I decided to draw both was basically I used the spiral formula, the square spiral formula, but I couldn't use it as its individual formula. I had to add in another one where the square spiral had to have t dot right minus a. And that minus a is 0.2, and it's a originally being 0.1, and then a's counter being repeatedly adding 0.02 every time it goes through the for loop. And this was just guess and check. I honestly didn't have any real plan for finding out what A was. But the best way I found out what A was, I guessed and checked, and I went to a reasonable number. I started at 10 first, and then I went down to 5, 1, 0.1, 0.01, and then 0.5, and I found out that starting at 0.1 would be best, and going repeatedly, going higher by 0.02 being another reasonable number. And having t be negative, a being minus a, turning right a negative a, it changes the formation of this spiral to go the opposite way it is currently now. It then starts looking kind of more like the picture. And what I'm running here now is just the full function and process where it does the square spiral and the spinning spiral. Because basically the function I'm using for both is side of spiral. And anything other really than that, then I can't really, the reason why I'm not adding this function into this function is because it would run through this for loop and then make this function. It would run this for loop right here 100 times repeatedly, where this would only run the side of a spiral here 100 times, where basically in exchange I would get 100 of these in difference to 100 of a single of sides, so I would only get 100 of one side. And this picture right here took me about 5-10 minutes to figure out, only due to the difficulty of making this spiral. And this was my YouTube video. I hope you liked it, and have a good day.